China is sending a delegation from the People's Liberation Army National Defense University to take part in the Shangri-La Dialogue right here in Singapore. The representatives are said to have exchanges with military and civilian counterparts. It's not known whether any interaction is planned with the US delegation, which includes Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. The Shangri-La Dialogue, considered Asia's premier security forum, takes place from tomorrow until Sunday. It has often provided a venue for vigorous debate, both formally and informally, on the region's most pressing security challenges. And we're joined right here by CNA's Olivia Siong in the studio. Olivia, what do we know about this Chinese delegation?
Wei Su, I guess the big question on everyone's minds was whether Chinese Defense Minister Dong Jun will be making another appearance here at the Shangri-La Dialogue. He did so last year for the first time since taking office. We know that the Chinese Defense Ministry said that China would be sending that delegation from the PLA's National Defense University. But when asked who would be leading the delegation, the spokesperson said that he had nothing further to add. So while he did not explicitly say that the defense minister, whether or not he would be in attendance, indications are that it looks like the Chinese defense chief will not be here in Singapore for this security gathering. This comes also as the Shangri-La Dialogue organizers IISS have not confirmed the list of speakers for this year's event. And if we were to compare previous years, like last year, China had confirmed that Minister Dong Jun was attending the event a few days before the Shangri-La Dialogue began. So all will be made known and confirmed very clearly as the event gets underway from tomorrow. But if so, and a Chinese defense minister is not present, this would be a departure from a recent tradition. China has sent its defense minister to the Shangri-La Dialogue every year since 2019. Of course, don't count those COVID years where the event didn't take place. But analysts I have spoken to say if this were to be the case, that it is an indication that perhaps the dialogue is not so much of a priority for China at this point in time.
As you mentioned, a departure from tradition, and this tradition is something you have been personal witness to. I remember last year, all that excitement. Is Dong Jun going to be speaking to, at that point, Lloyd Austin, and that meeting, and all of us watching their faces? What do their faces suggest about the tone of that meeting? And then this is still hypothetical, if Dong Jun is not there, if Dong Jun does not deliver that speech, usually on the second day, so that's Sunday, the morning of the Shangri-La Dialogue, what would that say? You've suggested perhaps China does not see this as a forum in which it wants to participate. What more might it say about how China sees the Shangri-La Dialogue?
So there were a few parts there that we need to unpack. First, if the Chinese defense minister is not present at the Shangri-La Dialogue, it would rule out any possibility of defense chief to defense chief interactions like we had seen last year. And that sort of interaction had been viewed by observers as very positive, given the tensions surrounding the South China Sea or Taiwan. Although we also have to remember in the Chinese military hierarchy, the defense minister plays more of a role of a diplomat, so more of outreach, so to speak. And we also have to remember that Mr. Dong, unlike previous defense ministers, he's not part of the military's top decision-making body, the Central Military Commission. So that top-level defense chief meetings won't happen. It doesn't preclude lower-level, working-level meetings, perhaps between China and the US, and that would be something we'll be looking out for. We also are awaiting confirmation as to who will be leading this delegation, but we should note that the National Defense University of the PLA is more focused on research into military activities, and so they're not so involved in the operational part of China's military decisions. So the question is why then, right? Why this change in representation? It's hard to know, but one possible reason that analysts I've been speaking to have given is the lack of willingness to engage with the US at this particular point in time. Have a listen.
Perhaps it has to do with the fact that they see the US as being uncompromising. They may believe that Secretary Hegseth may not have the sort of authority that may help shape policy toward the PRC. They may also believe that the gap between the US position right now and the PRC position is so vast such that there's not much use or not much value for these high-level talks. I don't think that there's a direct issue linkage between tariffs and the security front. I think what is more likely the case, if the tariffs are any consideration, is just that the negotiation between the US and the PRC right now is such that they would rather not have any indication that they are being too compromising toward the United States.
Well, so another possible reason for this change in representation from China is also we know that there has been this military shakeup in the PLA, and there have been high-level purges and investigations on at the senior military rank level. So it could be possible, analysts say, that China wants to keep its defense minister at home during this period of time. But another thing we'll be looking out for is that plenary session. If China is sending a lower representation, do they still get to speak at this big session? Because that usually is reserved for minister-level delegates and higher.
It's not just the speech, questions as well raised in forum discussions, which you will be there to break down for us. CNA's Olivia Siong right here looking at China's representation in this year's Shangri-La Dialogue.